This morning's guest has been all aboard for kids for more than 30 years. Now you've got a chance to get on board. What's it all about? You'll find out coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're at the Coastal Regional Outreach Center of the South Carolina School for the Deaf and Blind. We're focused on this Friday's All Aboard for Kids gala and silent auction to benefit the Boys and Girls Club of the Grand Strand. And we're visiting with its executive director, Don Hall. Good morning, Don.
Good morning, Greg.
Thanks so much for coming in to kick off the week here, and of course real excitement leading up to this Friday's event.
Yeah, we're very excited to have an opportunity for people to come out and support the Boys and Girls Club, enjoy themselves at a upscale restaurant, Omi Pacific Grill.
Oh, wow. Right up there on Lake Arrowhead.
Correct, in the Galleria Shopping Center. And I know a number of people are looking forward to coming out and supporting the club and then taking advantage of some of those wonderful appetizers they're going to have there.
Oh, yeah.
We're planning to have a silent auction. One of our local DJ entertainers, Wally B, will be providing some music.
Wally B will be there. That'll be great.
It should be a great time for people, still kind of a casual business, come as you are sort of thing after work.
Right.
Doesn't take up the whole weekend.
Right.
You know, and people can bid on items to support the after-school and summer day camp programs of the Boys and Girls Club. As you know, we have 2 locations now.
Right.
We've expanded over this past year to include a unit at the Atlantic Beach Community Center.
Okay.
In addition to our Carver Street location, the Colbert and Bell Community Center unit. So we are serving more kids, and of course we need more money to help run the programs and offer those opportunities to at-risk kids.
Right, a lot more needs clearly to be serviced there. And last year, I think you all had the All Aboard for Kids, the same event, the gala and silent auction. Was it at the train depot?
It was at the historic Myrtle Beach train depot,
right.
And that was our first attempt, and I think it went very well.
Yeah.
A little more rustic setting,
right?
At the train depot, but nonetheless, I think people had a good time, and we had some good support, and we're hopeful that we can continue to have signature events and make them grow and build a following.
Oh, yeah.
That will come and support us, and it's always good to have a fun time and a good cause and put those 2 things together.
Absolutely, and this Friday will be a great example, and so many other events you'll do during the year to try to get the word out about the Boys and Girls Club, the place to be, for folks to really think about the place to be, surely both for aftercare as well as you said, in the summertime.
Right, we have a lot of kids that that come to the Boys and Girls Club that otherwise wouldn't have a place to go. We refer to a lot of the kids as latchkey kids who would come home after school, mom or dad still at work, there's no adult supervision. It's important for them to have a place to go where they're safe, where there's somebody to help them with their homework. They can get an after-school snack. There are positive activities of all sorts, a computer lab, games room, interaction with our staff and volunteers, and then when mom and dad get off, or mom, as the case is for 63% of our kids, can come and pick up their children at the club knowing that they've been involved in something positive rather than left to their own devices at home.
Right.
And who knows what could happen in that situation.
Sure. Don, for a viewer needs to get off to work now or get family off to school, is there a good phone number, or would they want to visit your website to learn more about the All Aboard, the gala and silent auction, the All Aboard for Kids event this Friday, or even, of course, about your very successful Boys and Girls Club week last week and so many of the other activities you all have going on in the area?
Well, yes, people can call 445-9964.
Okay, great.
Or visit our website, and that is www.bgclubgs.org.
Okay.
And we have information about the gala, our programs, some pictures from previous events, just a wealth of information that they can get online. Parents can download a membership application in Adobe PDF file format and get the process started. Currently, we have a waiting list for our after-school program at the Colbert and Bell unit, but the Atlantic Beach unit is still accepting memberships for the after-school program. Hopefully, shortly in the near week or so, we'll be accepting applications for our 10-week summer day camp program.
10-week summer day camp, right?
Which is, again, a low-cost opportunity for parents to have their kids involved in something positive. We're open from 7:30 in the morning till 6 at night. We provide a breakfast, a lunch, and a snack. We have 2 field trips a week. Last year the cost was $40 a week per child.
That's all?
And also in Atlantic Beach, we had, because it's severely economically depressed for a lot of the families that live in public housing, the cost was just $20 a week. So as you can imagine, it's a great opportunity for working parents who are struggling to meet, make ends meet. And that's really what the Boys and Girls Club is all about, is we try and go into the communities that really have a need for kids to be in a program like ours. And it's sometimes a challenge from a financial standpoint, but that's why we have events like the All Aboard for Kids Gala and Auction.
That's tremendous, John. What actually prompted your involvement in the Boys and Girls Club movement? And when was that, John? When did you first get to, am I correct, is it almost a 3-decade?
It's pretty close to 30 years ago that I started with the Boys and Girls Clubs in Whatcom County in Washington State, in the Bellingham area. I had a brief stint in the Navy and got out, and they hooked me up with a job through the Comprehensive Employment and Training Act. And I started at the Bellingham Library, didn't like that too much, and kind of gravitated over to the Boys and Girls Club there, what at that point was known as the Boys Club, and enjoyed that. Wasn't much more than a kid myself. I think I was 20-some years of age, and thought it was pretty neat to get paid to basically play with kids. And so that's how I started my career as the social recreation director in a games room.
Wow.
And then have progressed over the years in a little more responsible positions.
Right,
and,
right.
But
it's still playing a little bit, Don.
I still get to be a kid.
Yeah.
I still get to be a kid a lot of times, and that's one of the great things about the Boys and Girls Club is we get to work with kids before they become problems. Right. And we try and help families, the schools, the churches. We're just part of the same system of community support that kids really need, especially in this environment that we have today, where we have the non-nuclear families. It's a lot of our kids are single-parent, live in single-parent families, and a lot of them have economic challenges that are barriers for kids continuing on through life and being productive citizens. So, the more we can do to help parents, to help the schools with education, with positive values. Just plain keeping kids out of trouble is a benefit to everybody in the community. If you think about what it costs to put someone in jail for a year, and what we pay for additional police officers and the court system and all that, it makes so much more sense to invest in the upstream side of things rather than down the road, when it's much harder to reclaim someone that's turned down the wrong path. And that's really what gets me excited about the Boys and Girls Club is, and as a military brat, I lived all around the world and took advantage of military youth centers, which in this day and age, now many of which are Boys and Girls Club operations, because Department of Defense has realized the Boys and Girls Club has some strong programs and that strong national organization to really help them with youth development. So that's kind of, I think, where the connection happened for me as a kid growing up and taking advantage of that, and then finding the opportunity in Bellingham when I first got out of the service.
That's tremendous, John. Speaking of connection, what's the biggest connection our viewers could have? What could they do? What would be a real call to action? I know we've got a little time. We're going to get into a lot of things, but if a viewer needs to get off now, obviously they know to call the 445-9964. I think you also talked about some volunteer opportunities as well as making donations, and we'll highlight some more ways that their funds will be used. But what would be the real driving push for our viewers?
Well, we have some great volunteers that come down to our Boys and Girls Clubs. We have a couple of ladies that come down every Thursday, for example, who work in the accounting field, and it's quite a change for them to be working on someone's taxes at one point, and then they're coming down and helping kids with their homework, or with our Reading Wizards program, helping kids with their vocabulary and reading skills. And it's something that can really give you a lot of enthusiasm, and it's almost contagious with the kids as to how much they enjoy positive adult contact. And you really can do just about anything. If you have a hobby or a skill that you'd like to share with a child, that's something that can be done through the Boys and Girls Club. We had another volunteer who was down that did a microwave cooking class.
Really?
And it was a very popular thing, because we'd make puddings, and the great part about it, of course, is not only do you get to make it, but you get to eat what ends up coming out. And, but if you think about it, that's a great life skill for kids to have. And many of them, there will be times in their life when they're going to get home and there's no adult there, and they have to take care of themselves. So having a basic skill like being able to cook for oneself safely using a microwave, on the one hand, it doesn't sound terribly important, but on the other hand, it is something that helps them become productive, responsible adults later on.
And this is for kids of all ages?
Yep. We take kids basically at school age. 5 years of age is the youngest we take them, on up to 18. And it's just a program that has all sorts of opportunities, and different Boys and Girls Clubs in different areas really do have different programs. I've been part of many Boys and Girls Club organizations, I think 7 in my career of 30 years. And some will have large sports programs, others will, like ours here, will have a real focus on education and assisting kids with making it through school. I mean, as we know, South Carolina, unfortunately, has a tough time with kids that are graduating from high school. Especially with minority populations and people that are facing issues like poverty, and they only have a single parent at home. All those things kind of combine to make finishing one's education, at least getting a high school diploma, that much tougher. So anything we can do to help is going to be very positive and make a difference for the kids.
7:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. for that 10-week program during the summer. I mean, what's a typical day like for the children who may show up? I guess there's probably no such thing as a typical day, Don, but clearly there's some structure during each day. And can you break down a typical day for folks that are thinking about it and may have a real need here? And again, they could call now to try to get lined up, or are they? You said there's still some openings.
We're currently getting ready to start taking registrations for the 10-week summer program. I'm anticipating that'll be about the mid-April point that we'll start.
A week from now,
We'll start that first week of June following the end of school for the actual program, and it'll run 10 weeks. But I mean, the kids get there in the morning, and usually they may have some cereal and some fruit for breakfast, as an example. A lot of working parents they're on to their job, and they need to have their kids dropped off and in a safe place that they know they'll be involved in positive
activities. And y'all are supplying all the food. That's included as a part of that $40, or as you said, $20 up in Atlantic Beach.
Well, I think the main thing people need to understand, it's important for our clients, the kids and their parents, to pay something. We don't anticipate or ask them to pay the whole cost of what it is needed to run the program. So we have to make that up through other means. We'll be contacting service clubs. We write grant requests. We're fortunate to be part of the summer food program, for example, which gets us some of the meals. We've had sponsors for the field trips that the kids take. Whether we're going to the Waccamaw bowling lanes, or Canal Street Rec for swimming, or over to the Carmike theaters for a movie, a field trip to a local museum, or just going to the beach. It is really something that will allow these kids to get out and get some exposure to something else. And
that's great.
It's amazing to me that some of the kids who've lived here for years have never been to the beach, for example, or been to a Pelicans game.
Yeah.
as an example, or gone to Myrtle Waves for that experience, because that's just not within their reach economically.
Sure.
And it's important for kids to enjoy what we have in this beautiful community. So, and if we can toss in some educational stuff on top of that,
Right.
that's another thing that I really like to stress to people. The Boys and Girls Club is all about fun, and then we try and sneak the educational components in. It's amazing when we can have a hoop shooting contest in the back play area at our club, around the world, something like that.
Right.
But there's a component where maybe you have to do a math problem or spell a
wow.
word to continue to advance. It's not just about the athletic skills and making the hoop. It's also about some learning and valuing both of those things.
Right.
So we call that Project Learn, and that's another kind of fun way we can throw a twist in there for the kids to keep them active and engaged.
Oh yeah. Just last week, y'all concluded, or I guess just yesterday, you concluded Boys and Girls Club Week. Pretty successful week. What all did y'all have going on, and what was the purpose of that, Don?
Well, Boys and Girls Club Week is just celebrating the existence of Boys and Girls Clubs, which
Right.
are in all 50 states,
Is
on
that
military bases around the world, and
Right.
I think we're closing in on serving about 4 million kids
Oh,
nationwide.
come on. Wow, sounds like McDonald's billboard there in the
What is it,
early
10
years.
million burgers served or
Yeah,
something, or
yeah,
a billion?
yeah.
I'm
Sure,
not sure.
a billion, that's right.
But we have a rich history, and Boys and Girls Clubs have been around now for more than 100 years.
Is that right?
Here locally since 1996 for the Boys and Girls Club of the Grand Strand. But it's all about raising awareness about what the clubs do and the value they are to families, especially families in need. And we try and make sure that we can raise awareness. In fact, one of our activities that we just finished was the selection of our Youth of the Year.
Oh, yes. Let's talk about her, I believe.
Yes,
Yeah.
Carrie Collins, Tricarian, but everybody calls her Carrie. She's a North Myrtle Beach high school student who also happens to be employed at our Atlantic Beach Community Center unit.
Great.
And that's another example of her participation and wanting to give back to others.
Right.
And she's going to be representing our organization and going on to Columbia at the end of April, first part of May. In fact, one of her duties as our Youth of the Year will be to interact with some of our state legislators at a legislative breakfast.
Oh, great.
And again, it's all part of this raising awareness. And sometimes we'll see the news stories about the bad things that happen with kids.
Right.
And here's an opportunity to talk about somebody who's on the right track, who wants to be a social worker.
Oh, yeah.
When
She does.
She does.
She
And
told you that. That's great.
that's one of her goals, and hopefully the Boys and Girls Club has maybe headed her in
Had
that
something
direction.
to do with that.
And as I grew up in Boys and Girls Clubs and involved, this ended up being a career for me.
Right.
Not sure that's exactly what she'll be looking at, but it's all about getting kids to that point and realizing the small steps that are necessary to get to your goals. And too often I think kids have this feeling of despair or confusion that sometimes seems to be there when they're thinking about their future. And if we want kids to get beyond poverty, to get beyond some of the handicaps that maybe they are starting out with in life, we need places like the Boys and Girls Club. And I'm not sure who said it, and maybe many people have said it, but it's not where you start, it's where you finish.
Right.
And that's really what the Boys and Girls Clubs are all about, is helping people get to that point, no matter what the obstacles are,
Right.
to being productive, tax-paying, contributing citizens.
Right. A lot of C's here, contributing citizens, and of course, another big C we think about, Don, challenges.
Yeah.
Challenges. You all have some challenges going forward. I know recently we talked about the Atlantic Beach component, and of course that's part of the reason why All Aboard for Kids this Friday night. It's so important that folks get up there. And real quick, the cost, another C, the cost of that if folks are coming out
It's
this
actually
Friday.
very inexpensive. It's
Great.
$30 per person. That's going to
good.
include some great appetizers,
Right.
a couple of drink tickets, and of course the music and the ambiance of Omi Pacific Grill. If you've
Right.
never been there, it's an experience.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's tremendous. And they can call your office or go online. I think you said they could buy tickets online at your website.
Correct, and they can do that online or just give us a call. We're able to take credit cards over the phone.
Right.
And if all else fails and it's kind of a last-minute decision, people can come to the door. Of course, the cost will be $35 a person at that point.
Right.
But anybody and everybody can come out, and you don't have to get all dressed up. It's kind of a business casual sort of event. Great opportunity for networking as well.
Oh, yeah.
And,
This Friday, 6 p.m. So from
6 to 10 p.m.
Right, good. Let's talk about some of the challenges, Don, as you all are facing some. I think you highlighted some early this morning before we got started.
Right. Well, certainly with the things that are happening in the community of Atlantic Beach right now, that's put a little additional pressure on the Boys and Girls Club to raise the money that is necessary to keep the programs going up at our Atlantic Beach Community Center unit. So right at the moment, we're trying to move forward with the town and keeping a program open and running there for kids. I know the town's heart has been in supporting the program. In fact, every member of the council and the governmental entity there has been supportive.
Great.
And it's one of the good things that's happening at Atlantic Beach. So we want it to continue. Unfortunately, with the financial challenges facing the town, I don't think they'll be able to follow through with their commitment of financial resources for this program, which leads us to events like the All Aboard for Kids Gala. And hopefully we'll also have a few other angels that'll come in and support us, whether it's through a service group, a grant. Obviously we'll be talking to entities like United Way about the need, and there is a tremendous need there.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, with a few prayers and some good people behind us, I'm sure we'll be able to find a way to continue the program up there and make it a place that people can count on in that community.
Obviously, the dollars raised, whether they call in right now and paying $30 over the phone or buying tickets on your website, making that, or just showing up this Friday and paying the $35, most of those dollars will be reinvested right back in the program. As you said, $40 in the summer, just on the summer-long program, or even as low as $20 for folks who are even more challenged. I mean, that's a tremendous benefit from 7:30 to 6 p.m. I mean, for almost a full day of care, and obviously great structured programs, as you said. Clearly, a lot of folks recognizing how great y'all's programs are.
Well, and I think the kids have a lot of fun there, whether it's taking a newspaper puzzle and putting it together, which is one of our more popular activities, where it encourages kids to kind of get involved in positive, competitive sorts of activities that also have that educational component. We do a variety of things that are there to encourage the social interaction of kids in a positive way, and you wouldn't believe how many kids do have problems as far as their social skills. In this day and age, they're all texting and doing that, but that face-to-face ability to communicate and get along with others from diverse backgrounds is an important skill set to have. So we're really looking at getting volunteers, donations to the Boys and Girls Club for our event. People can also go online and contribute to the It Just Takes One annual campaign of the club, where they can make a 100% charitable contribution and sponsor a kid for a period of time in our club, realizing that what we charge is really not the true cost of what it takes to operate the club.
So much more, obviously. You need those dollars, and you've got some paid staff as well as a lot of volunteers. There's still volunteer opportunities. You also mentioned an endowment fund you all had set up. We've got to right at a minute, Don. Share with viewers real quick about the endowment fund.
Well, we're happy to be working with the Waccamaw Community Foundation to establish an Acorn Endowment Fund. It's just a small fund, $1,000 is in it at the moment, but it's all about having something there for the long-term benefit of the Boys and Girls Club to make sure it's there for years and years to come. So people hopefully will invest and make a legacy gift if the opportunity allows in the Boys and Girls Club, so that kids can turn out to be, positive citizens in the future.
That's tremendous, Don. You continue to be driven, obviously, and want to keep working with the Boys and Girls Club for years to come.
I can't see myself retiring.
That's great. Very exciting. Thanks so much for being
Thank
with us
you.
this morning. Absolutely. Stay tuned to more Carolina People with Don Hall, the Executive Director of the Boys and Girls Club of the Grand Strand. Coming up next. How do you think the Boys and Girls Club of the Grand Strand can put on these programs to benefit 70 children a day? Because they get involvement from folks just like you. Take the time to learn more about the Boys and Girls Club of the Grand Strand. You can go online to bgclubgs.org. You can pick up the phone, 843-445-9964. Of course, you can show up at the place for adults. Of course, the Boys and Girls Club of the Grand Strand is all about the place for kids, the safe environment for kids, the place where kids can interact with adults who want to listen to them, who want to learn from them, who want to interact with them on a daily basis. This is the place. It's the place for kids, but this is the event for adults. This Friday, 6 p.m., Umi Pacific Grill, right up there on Lake Arrowhead in the Galleria Shopping Center. You can call now, or you can go online to buy tickets. It's $30 in advance or $35 at the door. As Don called it, a casual networking event. But it's a networking event for a cause, and the cause of the Boys and Girls Club of the Grand Strand. Get involved. Pick up the phone, 445-9964. Don Hall, thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you.